Hey, Chris Liepe here for the Recording Revolution with the isolated guitar tracks for Are You Mine by Arctic Monkeys. What are we doing with isolated guitar tracks? Well, primarily we're going to notice things that we wouldn't notice if we were listening to the whole mix. And then, our goal isn't necessarily to come up with the exact same tone, because we're not using their same gear. And it's not really even to learn the lines exactly like they play them. This isn't a guitar lesson about how to play Are You Mine. Rather, this is let's study their recording approach, their playing approach a little bit, and notice some little subtleties that we can put into our own playing the next time we go to record something. Oh yeah, I remember from those isolated guitar tracks from that Arctic Monkeys song where they did this way of doubling or tripling, or this little EQ thing they did, or the way they layered their distortion pedals, or at least the way that we're going to talk about doing that based on what we hear from those tracks. So let's dig into this with an open mind and open ears and take what we notice, try a few things, and let it inform our own guitar production. And if you'd like more help going deeper with your own guitar tone and your guitar playing, click the link below and download my free PDF. All right, let's get into this. From the top. Sounds like they kicked a reverb. Interesting difference between this first section here, even before they kicked the reverb, and now. Definitely doubled. Not tripled here. Ah, now there's something that changes right here. Just for that. Ooh. There's a center triple going on there. But let's talk about this fundamental tone, and then we'll talk about that a little bit more. This sounds like a fuzz-based tone. It's that kind of muffy, wumpy sound, but you still hear that fundamental throatiness from the guitar. And I'm using a P90 equipped PRS here, which may or may not be what they recorded with, but again, it's not about being exactly like them, it's about being inspired by what they're doing. And then I'm using Bias Effects 2, and I've come up with this. This is just based off of the stock preset that comes up with Bias Effects, and it's got this, and I've tweaked it and removed some things and turned a lot of knobs to get it closer to what it sounds like they're doing. So what we're doing here is we're starting off really with a fuzz. I really believe this is a fuzz type distortion, but we are then putting overdrive after our fuzz. And in this chain here, I'm splitting to two different amps, and then we're summing back to mono, and then we've got a reverb. But if I play this with the fuzz and these amps, and we'll go over the amp setting a little bit more here in a minute. You can hear I might have a little bit too much reverb on there. There's that wumpiness, or that fuzziness, muffiness, as well as that more throaty, traditional distorted guitar sound. But if I were to take this fuzz out and play, you get more of that traditional ring sound, and then we bring the fuzz back in. I might be able to bring that up a little bit for contrast. But then we lose some of that definition. And a big part of how they get their sound is how they're playing, like what their pick attack is like and stuff like that. Let's see what we can do slightly differently on the other side. We're going to turn up the highs on the amps just a little bit. So I cranked the presence, or turned the presence up a little. Particularly on this one, bring the presence up. This one is going to be a bit brighter sounding with a bit more presence. If we were to record these together, Close enough for a sample. And then just listen back here and evaluate. Yeah, mine has a little bit more reverb on it maybe. Theirs is a bit muffier sounding than mine, so I could go in and spend a lot of time adjusting the balances on the fuzz versus the distortion. And that's part of the fun, is tweaking that until you get the right balance. But that layered distortion of having your fuzz pedal and then distortion, overdrive pedals afterward, it's really interesting to play with that balance. I'm going to bring the distortions down and the fuzzes up a little bit, and then we'll do some more listening. This is just on the left side. Maybe not more drive there, maybe more level. We'll drive the amp a little bit more. Okay, then I'm going to bring this overdrive down in terms of drive. Less gain, more volume from the fuzz. And then maybe I have the EQ here. I'm going to take my roll off back just a little bit. Oops, right here. That's nice. You've got a little bit more low representation on this track, and then you've got a bit more definition and throatiness on this track. I like the balance that that's creating. It's not exactly like what they're doing, but I like where I've arrived based on what I've listened to with them. Okay, let's listen on. Okay, now there's that center channel thing going on, but not every note. Oh, I love that wumpy sound. Definitely that fold back sounding distortion, that big muff. It's really neat. Ooh. That was neat. Listen to that again. It sounds like they took whatever patch that they're using or whatever amp setup that they're using for that center high frequency thing and put it in the outskirts just for a second. You can even hear it kind of punched. This is a sum of all the multi-track guitars. With different articulations on that note. Combined with now, let's look at real quick what it sounds like if we layer in one of those thin, heavily distorted sounds in the center and build that similar soundscape over just part of what we recorded. Need to bring that up a little bit. And okay, it sounds too similar. It needs to be more drastic in terms of, so I've already done a few things using the same general patch, general setup. I've brought up the drives in certain ways. But I think we need to be more extreme here. We could go to a different sound altogether, but I think what I'm going to try to do is drive the input harder via this plug-in here. So I don't have to replay it because it's running in real time. But I'm going to bring up the gain or the output on this, so it'll sort of peak it. I'm not going to worry about it clipping so much. And then I'm going to bring up the highs, high mids. Maybe even a high shelf is in order. Let's try that. We're not going to worry about so much about hum or anything like that. That's not doing much, so let's go to our post EQ right here. Bring up the highs here. Okay, so we need to do this more. Make it more obnoxious. It's okay that this is really extreme. This is an effect. There we go. So notice how when I tried working with the EQ before the amp, it really didn't have the same effect. We needed to be post-amp EQ. Let's blend that with our other tracks. Let's bring that down a little. Yeah, and then if we go in and just clean this up a little. I think it could be even more. We could bring our roll off up like this. Yeah, that's cool. It's a good starting point at least. All right, listening on. Their reverb tail is maybe longer than mine, and I'm using more reverb. Just pointing those out is helpful. Ooh, that's cool. Variable tremolo sound. Nice. Listen to how it works in the stereo image. In addition to slowing down, they've put, well, it sounds like a stereo slap delay on it. You can even hear them turn it off. It's interesting where they choose to use that higher center, that higher, not pitched, but timbre center guitar rhythm. Notice right there, it's played very differently. Those guitars aren't playing the same thing, which works. You'd never hear stuff like that in the full mix. Notice as it goes on, there's more and more of that center thing, and it almost makes the other guitars feel darker in contrast, but then when you listen to the whole mix, there's a lot of depth there that you wouldn't think is from these contrasting guitar tones. When I hear the original, I think of it as just being one tone. I never heard that center channel thing going on. Ah, just one side there. Doubled again. Ah, now that's kind of neat. You get a sense for how different those sounds are. Remember how earlier we said that this one was a bit darker and we brightened up the right side? This representative here, now there could be all sorts of punching and different things but that they're doing that we can't see, but it's neat to hear those done slightly separately. Actually, what that sounds like is that they've combined that really fuzzy high timbre with the right side. Yeah. Because that's a different sound. That's a different layering than this. That high buzzy thing is up top. Now, I could have also probably gone to more of a buzz distortion pedal instead of a fuzz, or replaced that fuzz with a higher distortion pedal altogether to get that sound. Might be worth experimenting with. I like that. Ooh. Those severely band limited, taking all the lows out, making them super thin in the context. That's really neat. Helps them pop in the mix. Now that sounds like they're doing some neat bends. Where they're taking a note, going a whole step, or maybe in some cases even a minor third down, and then bending up to it to create that sound with that band limited sound, or something similar to it. I wouldn't have thought to do that over this, to bend, until I heard what they did. Again, this is not about discovering exactly what they did, but honing in on what they did and trying things with our own playing. Finishing out. Now if you listen to that right here, definitely sounds like bends to me, as it's more exposed there and not some kind of synth. I like at the end there how they got that harmonic, like, edge of pick thing going on. This kind of like where they're getting their skin involved on their pick and then doing that across the multiple tones. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this observance and breakdown of Arctic Monkeys' Are You Mine? Take some of this stuff to your own playing. Grab your gear, whatever it is. Practice doubling, practice making subtle tweaks to your simple riffs and lines. Practice doing that neat little triple idea, center stage with your panned guitars. And vary the sound of each one so you get a overall image that is way more deep than you could have possibly done with just one take or two takes, or even three takes, where you're using all the same sorts of tone. There's no right or wrong way to experiment. These guys and the recordings that you and I know and love, the sounds that they eventually come up with come about not by being proper or right, but by trying things like I was doing with the EQ. You know, let's throw this all the way up and see what it sounds like. Sometimes it doesn't sound good, sometimes it sounds great. But when you hear stories about things being recorded through Casio tape recorders in the Deftones and then put into the full rig, stuff like that, it empowers you to say that, nothing is wrong. Everything is on the table. Let's experiment. Let's be inspired as we experiment. Again, if you'd like more help with your guitar tone and your overall guitar playing approach, click that link below and download my free PDF. We'll see you for more.